Okay, hello. My name is Matthew. I think we're on to part 4. I've lost track a little bit. I've been moving around because of the sunlight, but I think this is part 4 the of my 4K Q&A response videos. And let's see, question number 15 from Isaiah Armstrong. Congrats on 4K. What percentage of the books on your shelves have you read? Is it 50-50 or extreme one way or the other? Um, I would say it's a fairly high number. As far as the novels that are on my shelves, it's probably 75, 80%. Could be higher. I'll say around there. Um, there are a lot of books on my shelves that I've read incompletely, things like essays or works of poetry, um, some books on philosophy, uh, things like that, where um, the intention isn't to read them cover to cover, but so my point is I don't know how much of those books I had read. So I would say a fairly high percentage. Um, so that's my answer. Question number 16. Uh, Gladys was here. Congrats, Matthew. Regarding your Q&A, the nosy among us would like to know more about your lovely Valentine. It would be magical to hear more about the constellation of events that facilitate deeply connecting with someone across the globe. First, that was beautiful. Uh, It'd be magical to hear about the constellation of events that facilitate deeply connecting with someone across the globe. And I want to be um, uh, open. It's a little bit of a delicate matter because talking about a relationship, um, talking about a relationship, and talking about my private life requires the conversation including the private life of someone else that um, does not have a public outlet. So uh, I'm going to um, try to give an honest answer, but also recognize that there's somebody that I love and I respect elements of, I respect their privacy. So um, it is incredibly unlikely that I would have met just one of uh, the most amazing, special, intelligent, funny, surprising people. It's just unbelievable that I was able to meet the person that I did. It's so unlikely. Um, I think just as early as 10 years ago, we would have had no possibility of ever having any connection. And the way that the world operates now, how easy it is to communicate and meet people, um, I just consider myself lucky and grateful that it was even a possibility for me to meet her. And um, we talk every day. It's my favorite part of my day. I look forward to it. I'm going to be going to Spain, and we are going to meet. And I love her now, and she loves me. And we're going to meet, and I'm going to love her even more. And I hope that she'll love me even more. Um, so that's what I'll say. I know that's very vague, um, but I think that's reasonable. So, question number 17. Darnell Holland. Congrats on 4K subs. I really enjoy watching your videos. They are always thoughtful. I have a bad memory when it comes to books that I have read. My question is, do you take notes as you read? And if so, what is your process like? Keep up the great work. I also have a terrible memory. I feel like I, I, I feel like I just have a I don't retain anything. It feels like that. I know that it's not true. I imagine it's not true for you either, or at least not as much as you think. I think I have a terrible memory, and then I constantly surprise myself when I do remember something. Um, and I don't take any notes at all. I don't bookmark or dog ear. I do use a bookmark, but I don't put like post-it notes in, things like that. I always think to myself, and like this is the time of year where it's such a great time to start. I always think that I should have a book journal where I write down each book that I've read. Um, never happens. So I don't have any process like that. It did become a consideration um, at some point early on when I was making booktube videos, because I'm talking about these books and I don't have any notes, I don't have any preparation, I don't have a script, I'm just hitting a button and talking. And so I would kind of think maybe I should write little reminders down. At some point, there was one book that I tried to do that with, and um, it just didn't work. It didn't work at all for me. It interrupted my reading. Um, it interrupted my reading, and also um, it felt like I was reading the book in preparation for a video, and although that's sort of exactly the timeline. I'm reading a book and then I make a video, but I'm not reading the book so I can make a video. I'm making the video because I just finished a book. So I didn't like writing the notes like I was preparing a video. I think that makes sense. Gina Stanier Books. How do you decide which books to keep in the tiny house? Do you have a one in, one out rule? And I don't. I've always been fairly particular with books that I acquire, even though like everyone else that are readers, um, I do have a ton of books, um, and I actually have space. I'm not over capacity or filled to the gills. I'm still acquiring books every once in a while, um, thoughtfully, but um, it's not like I have to be pulling a book out in order to buy another one. And periodically, I go through and we'll donate a couple books at um, somewhere. So those are my thoughts. That was 18 or 17, 18. Question number 19. Congrats. Did you ever come across... This is... question number 19 is from Jordan Mag D. Congrats. Did you ever come across Kingsbridge series by Ken Follett? I'm reading the first book now called Pillars of the Earth. I've never read anything by Ken Follett. I've of course heard about Pillars of the Earth. I don't know why. It never hit my radar, that radar of things I want to read. So if you're reading it, let me know how you like it. Let me know if I should read it. And then question number 20. We had 20 questions total. How about that? Nathan Fung. Congrats. So well deserved. Brilliant content, by the way. Thank you. I've learned a whole bunch watching your videos. Just a couple questions. Can you talk about how Andy and Daphne came into your life? How long did it take to build the tiny house? So me and Ben built the tiny house a couple years ago now, and it took a little bit more than 6 months. We had about a 3 month break in the middle because of winter, and so probably if we were doing it straight through, it would have been closer to 3 months. And uh, also, it was pretty much Ben building the whole thing by himself. Um, I was his hapless helper. I'd be there, but I, I'm I'm an assistant. I'm a helper. I can hold things. I can get a tool. If the tool is described in a way where I can identify it, I can go get the tool. Or if he points to a tool, I can get the tool. He can give me a task, a repeatable task. We're gonna screw this into this 50 times, and I can go do that. Uh, so it's not two people building a house, two people that are working in concert. Um, it was Ben building the house and me being a helper. But it took about 3 months. Andy and Daphne. So I'm building the house, and I was thinking about um, having a little friend or having two little friends, and I wasn't um, thinking cats straight away, or I wasn't thinking cats exclusively. I knew I wouldn't have a dog for several reasons. Having a full time job, um, I, I don't think I couldn't leave a dog alone for 8 or 10 hours a day, whereas cats are completely self sufficient. But uh, I was thinking about a bird. I was thinking about getting a parrot, and I was at some point, and you might have seen I made like bird videos or bird paintings and all that. Um, but at some point, I spent all this time researching um, different kinds of parrots and the kind of parrots that you could buy, and learning all about their intelligence and personality and how long they live for. And I thought, well, for a house like this, I have these big tall ceilings. Um, I could hang like a big bird cage, and I can get home, and the bird can be flying around the house. Um, and I was very close to becoming a bird person. At some point, I thought, well, maybe I could have a bird and a cat. And I'm not I'm joking a little bit, but I'm not completely making this up or completely making a joke. I thought, well, a cat would eat the bird, but if I got one of those hairless cats, well then I'd be giving the bird a little bit of an advantage, because those hairless cats are just smooth skin, and the bird has its beak and its talons and can defend itself against the hairless cat. And of course, I don't know how to go about getting a hairless cat, but I was kind of thinking about that. Like, how neat would it be to have one of those hairless cats and a bird, and they have this like odd situation where the one thing kind of wants to eat the other one, at least at first. Um, he's got that smooth skin. He doesn't want to get scratched up by the bird's talons. Um, and I like those unlikely matchups, because the idea would be that everyone gets along. When you live in the house, you have to get along with each other. Um, Imagine the bird gingerly riding around on the cat's back. give him give him a squeeze when he wants to run a little faster. Um, anyway, there was a person in the neighborhood, like a little old lady that had a Maine Coon, and had a litter, and I got actually. How about this? Today is Daphne's birthday. I didn't forget, but I forgot to mention it. Today's Daphne's birthday. Um, three, two, 2 years old. She's 3, Andy's 4. Um, with Andy, I went over to this house. And this woman had these little cats, and they were all spoken for, except there was one last one that turned out to be Andy. He had a really minor health problem. He didn't have a health problem, but there was just something that needed to be addressed by a vet. Um, and I went over thinking I'm going to just meet the cat. Of course, I should have known. I went over and I saw Andy and I thought, well, you're mine now, and I'm going to take care of you forever. You need to go to the vet. We're going to the vet. I can't leave this little fluffy, adorable little kitten and go home and go on with my life. We're now going to live together. Andy and I actually moved into the tiny house because I was taking him. We moved into the tiny house together before the house was the house wasn't quite finished, and so everything was all done, but the water hookup wasn't set up, and it took a couple days. I can't remember why, but there was something going on with the water, and so Andy and I move in here with no running water. I'm using bottles of water. I have bottles of water for the kettle, and I was taking a sponge bath. It was like 2 or 3 days, but Andy and I moved in here together. My first night in the house was with Andy, and his name is Sheriff Andy Taylor. So he's named after the Andy Griffith Show, one of my favorite TV shows, and my intent was that I would get another cat. I thought maybe I'd get a little boy cat and name the other cat Barney, and I'd have Andy and Barney. And I had Andy for a year, and then I got Daphne. I knew eventually I would get 2 cats because they'll have their own companionship. The woman that I knew that I got Andy from at some point let me know that someone else had a litter and had a little cat. And the similar situation, I went over there, and the litter, all the cats were spoken for except for one, and it was Daphne, and it wasn't a medical thing, it was a personality thing. So Daphne, just as a kitten and as she is now, she's very shy. And when she was a kitten, she was skittish and afraid. When people would come over to see the kittens, Daphne would hide under the furniture. So the woman was trying to give these kittens away, and you couldn't even see Daphne. And I went over there, and Daphne just hid the whole time. At some point, she popped her little head out, and it was the same exact thing. I just looked at this little kitten and thought, I'm going to take care of you for the rest of your life. And I brought her home. And I remember my mom was here. I think Ben came over too. So there was a couple people in the house. We put Andy in the bathroom. Drop Daphne down here, where I'm sitting now on the floor. And of course, there's this moment. The 2 cats have to meet. And it was hilarious because I open up the door, and Andy comes out like, no problem, just another day. And it took like a couple moments for him to realize there was another cat in the house. He wasn't paying attention and didn't even didn't see it. And he was like, what the hell is this? Daphne has grown to really trust me. I give her nothing but affection, and love and care. Um, at first, she would wince if I tried to pet her. Her little ears would go down, and she'd be like, really afraid. Um, Now she likes to be petted and have her head scratched. Um, and when she was a kitten, she loved Andy. I have pictures on my Instagram for when Andy was a Daphne was a kitten, and Andy had grown by a year. Andy was just monstrous compared to the teeny little kitten, and I was so proud of Andy. He was gentle. I just couldn't have been more proud that the way that he interacted with Daphne when she was so young, and Daphne loved Andy. They everywhere Andy would be sleeping, little Daphne kitten would come over and curl up and just want to sleep with him. It was so cute. Um, I considered naming Daphne Barney and thinking, well, what does it really matter if it's a boy or a girl? Because I'll have Andy Taylor and I'll have Barney Fife. Everybody that I floated that idea by said, absolutely not. You can't do that to the little kitten. So I named her Daphne Moon from another one of my favorite shows, Frasier. Daphne is um, the physical therapist for Frasier's dad, Marty Crane. Anyway, and that's it. Those are the questions for my answers for my 4K Q&A. This is 4 or 5. I feel like I've been talking for like 2 hours. If you've watched all of this, God bless you. I can't imagine. Um, thank you so much. Thank you for everybody subscribing and watching videos and all of that. Thank you. Please leave comments if you would like, and take care. Bye.